big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
News. News.
Radio.
News. News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. It's the 4th of January, 2017. Happy New Year, you sons of bitches.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh, okay. We'll go there.
Hey, guess who's back?
Who?
Who?
Well, let's see. I have to duck every time he turns his head. So Sackhead Clint found his way back to the studio.
Yeah, we'll see how long my voice lasts.
And you know what? I'll lose the bet, BZ, because I had angioplasty surgery.
Well, that's better than a colonoscopy.
Only for some of us.
I made Clint laugh.
You know why? Because I was thinking it's actually not better than a colonoscopy. What if the purpose of the rhinoplasty was so that I could give a better colonoscopy?
This is true. This is true.
What?
What are you Googling all of a sudden? Don't Google those words together,
yeah.
BZ.
No, Google tossed salad.
No,
Big
stop
nose,
it.
together.
Just, listen, don't come back and screw things up.
Safe search off.
We've been really, really good.
What fun is that?
We get stuff done. So,
Again, what fun is that?
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Starting off the new year right.
California's starting off the new year right.
We'll get there.
Oh boy.
That's in blue. There's a board now. You guys run around all willy-nilly for the last couple of weeks.
Willy-nilly, I like that. Haven't heard that in a long time. Willy-nilly.
There's a board.
Oh, God.
Willy Vanilli?
Milli Vanilli.
Do they lip sync?
Can you blame this on the rain?
The rain.
Well done, because it's raining.
It's actually
here
raining
in
in
Sacramento.
California.
And the Milli Vanilli joke and the can you?
See what I did?
This is great.
I loved it.
It's so nice. So nice to have the team back together so I can't get a word in edgewise. What? What was that?
What?
I didn't hear. My
I don't
headphones
even
must have been
know.
a little... Okay, there we go. It's nice to have the team. It is nice to have you back, sir. I wish you a very happy new year.
It is nice to be back. Yeah, I was hurting.
Yeah, you were. It was a rough illness, and we talked before we got on the air. And I actually had to say to Clint, do you even remember that conversation? To which the answer was no. And
it was not alcohol induced.
It was not alcohol
I want to have our
induced.
folks know.
Well, it may have been alcohol caused, but the sustaining wasn't
was
alcohol.
not alcohol.
Right. So we're glad to have you back and in one piece. I also want to give a shout out to all the shows on SHR Media Network. We've started off the new year like gangbusters and doing a great job. BZ, next week?
I believe so.
Next week for the Berserk Bobcat Ballroom with BZ?
Tuesday.
I am so excited. No, seriously. So people like people know you as like the asshole, and people know me as like the funny guy,
the lovey,
and the funny
guy.
thing is, like behind the scenes, it's actually like the exact opposite. Like, Shaun loves everything and is like super supportive, and like new shows come on and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't get like really excited about them. And that's like horrible for me to say right now, I know. But that's how big of an a-hole I actually am.
Are you trying to say that he's got a My Little Pony on his dash?
But yes. Yes. No, I do. I get excited about new shows and stuff, but it's not the same. Shaun gets like super, super excited about them, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, cool, I'm curious.
I think for 2017, I mean, SHR is going places.
It is. I'm supportive of the new shows. I'm excited to have them here, but Shaun's is a whole different level. But for your show, I'm actually like super amped up and pumped about.
So the rest of our broadcasters, let me get this straight for you.
I know where you're going.
Yeah,
Clint could give a damn less about you.
That's not true.
But if you're the other white guy on the network,
right.
Apparently it's all interest.
Right.
No, that's nice of you, Clint. I really think that's great.
Look, I don't mince words, right? Like I care, like nice. I really care about Ken.
It's too late.
Right? Like it started with 1/3, and now I'm up to 2/3 liking him.
2/3 of the time.
Well, you have to leave a little in reserve.
He'll earn that 1/3. He'll get there.
No, he won't. He can't. It's in the Constitution. What? We're strict constructionists, folks.
Oh boy! Did it just? Did you also feel like I could almost feel like the thunderhead cloud starting to form over?
Wait a minute! I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Clint just said that in chat. Ken says Shaun is such a racist.
Doesn't matter what.
You know why? You know why? Because Ken knows that Shaun passed me that in a note. I would never have thought of that on my own.
Here's the best part. So Clint could come in full blackface, do video, have that like.
I do the Dan Aykroyd thing from Trading Places.
Do you remember Tom and Jerry?
Yes.
With the maid?
Yes.
You could do that voice.
Uh-huh.
And the whole time...
Where's that damn cat?
Yeah, exactly. And I would be the one to take the grief for it.
Because everybody would know you drugged me and put me up to it.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
I do want to say happy birthday to Court on Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, listener Court. Happy...
In Ohio, she's going to be 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So probably won't remember the 6th.
Hopefully.
Or the night of the 6th. Probably
if it goes well, that's how it should be.
If all goes as planned. Which means she probably won't remember the 7th or 8th either.
Right.
If she does it right.
Because when you're 21, those days kind of blend together.
Right.
So any other birthday requests you want to make and have right on the air, email Clint at shrmedia.com. Because apparently we do that shit now.
Is that the actual email?
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Address for me, or the old one?
That's the one I make up to tell people.
Oh, that's the one that I got the bounce back on.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There is no such.
We didn't even give it to BZ.
I know.
There is no such email.
Because Shaun knows I don't return them.
Yeah, what's the point?
Which is,
It all auto forwards to mine anyhow. Happy birthday, Court.
Happy birthday, Court.
BZ, how are you, sir?
I'm fabulous.
I don't believe that.
Why not?
I do.
And we had a great time last week, and we had a great time the week before. We're going to have a great time tonight.
I don't know about the third. Because the last time Clint was here, we got into that fight that everybody talked about for 2 weeks.
That was great radio.
I hearkened back to that. And
that was great radio.
Did you say hearken?
He said hearken.
Yes, I did.
Damn, it just got up a tad.
So the beautiful thing is, and we were talking about this at the break after that last tete-a-tete. We like.
Are you going to tell Shaun what you told me?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right. Then I'm shutting up then.
No, because our listeners are listening right now.
All right.
We can. The best part is, I called it before I even opened my mouth because we know our listeners. I said, I know people are going to hate me for this, but.
Yeah, I know. And then it just got ugly. So
I love it when every time I say that, and Shaun, you do that.
Yeah.
Right there. No, you fold your arms,
And sit back.
you cock your head to the side, you sit back, and you just wait for it.
well,
And BZ just sits there with this grin like a
I'm an
schoolgirl,
observer.
which is great.
It's wonderful.
Which is great.
I equate it to oftentimes sitting underneath a toilet. Like I know it's going to flush, and it's all coming down, and I just have to defend myself.
Like in the medieval dungeon, looking
Yeah,
up
just
and seeing
looking
the-
up.
Yeah. So any New Year's resolutions before we get into the first topic?
Same one I had last year, not to make any resolutions.
Perfect.
I don't like to set myself up for disaster. And
Right.
I've always been one of those people that if I'm gonna change me, or if somebody's gonna change themselves, you should do it because you want to and not because of a day on the calendar.
It's the same thing you said
Yeah,
last
exactly.
year.
Yeah, it's it. But I've always believed that.
I know.
I've never understood people like, oh, new year, new me, new this, new that, new this, new. Why do you do that to yourself? Just if you want to make a change, set a date and go. Don't wait for
January 1st. That's the
Yeah.
date. Look, set a date and go. January 1st. What's the problem?
It's a cop out.
I already failed.
What was yours?
And not drink.
Really?
No. Of course not. Who are you talking to right now?
I was going to say that would be a brave
Yeah.
push for you.
I have one.
What's
What is
yours?
it?
Not to drink cheap potato water.
Oh, very nice. I think that's a good one.
Life is too short for that.
Have you been successful so far, BZ?
I've been successful for over 40 years.
Awesome. Good man.
Wow.
So only the expensive.
Yep.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? I always say if you're going to tear yourself up, do it with class.
That's right. Exactly.
Which is my motto on everything.
I'm going to lose 7,500 pounds. Which I guess that means I'm selling part of my house.
Well, at this point, it may not be a bad idea. So yeah, no new no resolutions for me. None of that crap. Listen, I say it all the time. I think I'm awesome. Why should I change now?
I know you are awesome.
It's got me this far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with our listeners. Don't change.
Don't go changing.
Don't go.
Don't go
And if you want to go to,
changing.
if you want to jump in the chat room, go to shrmedia.com
So
and click on live chat and listen live.
I actually have a New Year's resolution.
Okay. You have 2 minutes for it.
My New Year's resolution, I have 2 minutes and 17 seconds. My New Year's resolution
9
is...
seconds. Just wasting time. 2 minutes, 1
is
minute, 57 seconds.
Is for the Oakland Athletics to win the World Series. And that's my New Year's resolution.
Okay. All right. Way to
Not that I have any control
way
over
to really jump on something you have
anything.
control over.
Right.
Good job, Clint.
Listen, it's sheer willpower.
That's tragedy right there. That's pure tragedy.
Sheer willpower.
Strategy.
Tragedy.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy.
It's a Bugs Bunny term.
Strategy.
It's tragedy. Well, let's.
You know what? That should be a New Year's resolution for the Sackheads.
What's that?
To watch every Looney Tunes episode.
You can't even find them on TV anymore. That's a
YouTube 'em.
tragedy.
You can YouTube 'em. You can
And the
YouTube 'em.
best thing is you can even YouTube the racist ones.
Well, and
And what's funny is they're not even racist.
no.
Like the black guy the black character that's messing around with Bugs Bunny and they end up rolling dice in the bushes. That's funny.
Jersey Joe had a good one for you.
What's that?
Why don't you try not playing hooky from Sackheads for a few for the year?
We can't all roast tri-tip and sit in Barca loungers.
Moving on to the big board of topics. It is
Big board of topics. First topic up. Hold her on a sec. California did what? Eric kidding me? So, Evie, and I know we heard about this because BZ is doing some follow up here. But here's Eric Holder is hired by California to fight the Trump administration.
This is so crazy.
That's right. The state legislature of California hired Eric Holder
Thank Christ.
from the law. No, not Christ. They don't believe in him in California.
Oh, that's right. He's not allowed.
Yeah. Hired Eric Holder specifically to fight the Trump administration because they're so worried about what the Trump administration is going to do and how those policies are going to impact California. My guess is this has to do with sanctuary cities and perhaps some of the other...
It's going to be about sanctuary cities, also be about energy and the environment.
Because look, California could stand to lose some federal funding over some of this stuff. And so California has hired Eric Holder presumably to, fight the federal government? No, you have to give us money? I don't know what he's going to do. So we sent BZ on this, and he's actually in the process of getting information. But there's no information readily available in terms of how much taxpayer money has been spent, why an exterior private attorney to defend the state when the state has an attorney general
that you're already paying damn good money to.
Yes, and who is supposed to defend the state's policies and laws. So what is the purpose of this? It's very bizarre. I don't think, at least I have not been able to find any state that...
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
has hired a private attorney.
Dude.
So is it even legal? What's the attorney general's reaction? Like, I haven't seen anything. And it's all like, no, this is like the dirty little secret. Like, there's not a lot of chatter out there in the state about this.
Well, because they wanted it to fall by the wayside for now.
Yeah, look, the state legislature, they're not giving any information.
Right.
Governor's office hasn't given any information. We do. It's the legislature. Right, the Senate pro tem.
I tried to find all the proper numbers on that today. I had a little mission, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I found one number, and absolutely nobody's picking up the phone.
Well, it's the new year, and they don't work a full week. They're state workers, and so...
So, what do you guys think? Is this legal?
I'm going to say it is legal. I'm going to say that you're going to have a hell of a time trying to not say that he can't, that the state cannot hire contractors. And I know for a fact the state can.
Yeah, contractors, yes, but this is an attorney for the purposes of defending what, the state?
They're going to make him a contractor. They're going to make him a private vendor.
Yeah, but for what purpose? You have an attorney general who is the state attorney in order to defend state policies and state laws and all of that stuff, up to and including up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Right.
Remember, Jerry Brown did the what was it? The People v. the Entertainment Industry, or State of California v. Entertainment Industry. Mm-hmm. It was the proposition on the ballot. Pardon me. Where the voters voted that the entertainment industry could not market violent or explicit material to those underage.
Right.
Passed overwhelmingly. And the entertainment industry sued on First Amendment grounds, went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Jerry Brown was the Attorney General at the time and defended that state proposition, which was actually a conservative proposition. And he was the AG at the time and actually defended it at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court struck it down. but that we have an AG already on the payroll for this. So what is the purpose?
To cost California more money. Listen, they're trying to play a power play on this. Literally, this says if you're the new attorney general, and I don't even know what that person's name is because I just could care less at this point,
right,
in California. But if you're the new attorney general, this literally says to you, your state legislature has zero confidence in your ability to protect states' rights. But also, let's bring this another step forward. Let's go back to the 19th Amendment. We've talked about so many times. Maybe if states' rights, and listen, I'm not saying that California is right about this, but maybe if states' rights weren't destroyed by the direct election of senators and actually the state had the ability to be represented appropriately
at the federal level,
yep, none of this shit would have happened.
Right.
But instead, because the morons screwed it up,
yep,
and pushed the direct election on the 19th, now we have to deal with asshats like Holder coming back in. As far as the legality, like you said, they're going to put him as a vendor. He's not going to do anything official. He's going to be advising the whole time.
So here, but no, they're hiring. So I don't think they're hiring him as an advisor. So here's what De Leon said. Kevin De Leon is the Senate President pro tem, and Anthony Rendon is the Speaker of the Assembly. And here's what they said, quote, "This is a critical moment in the history of our nation. We have an obligation to defend," here, listen to this. Remember we talked about immigration policy.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
"We have an obligation to defend the people who elected us."
I wonder who
that is.
I wonder who they're talking to.
"And the policies and diversity that make California an example of what truly makes our nation great. They say Holder and his team will advise, so there you go, they're advising, quote, "in our efforts to resist any attempts to roll back the progress California has made."
Progress.
Meaning to roll back and make California obey the law.
Right.
Well, and
I've always said this, if you don't like immigration, if you want everyone to come in, change the damn law.
Yes.
Right.
Just do it. Be upfront. Do it.
Yep.
And see if you can get that shite passed.
Well,
good luck.
And guess what? If the senators were actually on a federal level elected by the state governments, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right. So let's do this. We're California. Not only are we going to hire an outside attorney to advise us on crap that the Attorney General should already be doing, but we're going to hire the most controversial figure in the Obama administration.
Al Sharpton?
The guy who was held in contempt of Congress, but declined to prosecute himself.
Well, I mean, really, it's self-preservation.
In order to advise us.
Yes.
And a guy that helped weapons make its way back here into the U.S., which California supposedly despises.
Which is how he got held under contempt of Congress in the first place.
Yes. Does anybody else see the hypocrisy
his
of
failure
this?
to turn in documents related to Fast and Furious.
Related to bringing weapons back into this country.
What
Does
the hell?
anybody see the ridiculousness of this?
No.
California, are you freaking kidding me?
I'll tell you right now, I don't see the hypocrisy in this, and my answer is very simple. It's California. When was the last time they did anything that made sense on a state level here? I mean, honestly.
No, I'm on board with you. But why has nobody pointed out and said, hey, California, so you hate guns, right? Yes, we hate guns. Guns are evil, right? Oh, yeah, guns are evil. You don't want them in our state, right? No, we don't want them in our state. You don't want them in the country, do you, California? Oh, no, we don't want them in the country. Why did you just hire a guy that let guns go to Mexico?
Well, that was part of a federal program, and it's too far above your brain to understand it because we were trying to find the illegal.
Right, and he was the only cabinet member ever in any presidency to be held in contempt of Congress. Thank you very much.
He's nailing it. I mean, really, he's just nailing it.
I mean, if you were Xavier Becerra, like you said, he's going to replace Kamala Harris. She's,
the governor nominated.
Yeah. So, is this not one of the grandest slaps across your face? The first Latino, by the way, first Latino AG in California history, and immediately Governor Brown says, I don't think you're quite competent enough to do what needs to be done. I know. I'll pay $75,000 for 3 months. And by the way, if you read the story, the $75,000, the $25,000 a month going to Holder and his law firm, they said, if you look very carefully in the story, it said in initial payments. What that means is, we could decide to continue on.
Yep.
This could be just the opening, ladies and gentlemen, taxpayers of the state of California. Your $75,000 at work. I wrote about this today on the blog, and I said basically what I'm doing is California is forcing me as a taxpayer to pay
Eric Holder
to work against my interests using my money.
Yes.
Here's the best part about this for me is Eric Holder and California in general. You brought up California and just the way they approach everything. A socialistic, everything, utopian state, right, is what they're pushing for. So if they really believed in Holder and Holder really believed in this, then why wouldn't he offer his services for free? If it's really for the cause and it's that important.
Right. Pro bono.
Pro bono,
I'm
baby.
coming at you pro bono.
No pro bono, baby.
Well, it's because they can.
No, it's because Jerry Brown and Kamala Harris want to throw some money over to Eric Holder and keep him relevant for the next
I don't think this is Jerry Brown.
No, I really don't think it's
This isn't Jerry Brown. This is the legislature.
I think Jerry Brown, he's... my thoughts about Jerry Brown. He's going to be out of here. I don't think he's all present, accounted for anyway. I think it's the legislature.
Yeah.
And they already said
Recalls.
they're splitting it 50%.
Recall.
Yeah. When is the last time the state Senate and state assembly has ever done anything together?
Yeah, well, they certainly got together over this.
They are so... No, this is mine, and this is mine, and no, this is mine. Okay, now your bill can come to us.
Bills.
They don't do anything together. Even the gun bills, right? But they don't do anything together at the same time.
Which is the problem. And that's really a problem. Because maybe, listen, at the end of the day, the funniest part about it is, in my opinion, based on the immigration law specifically, we'll table the other ones for a moment, based on the immigration law specifically, there's not much they can do about it. It is law. If you want to get it changed on the national level, then that's what you need to do. This is a federal law. And as far as the EPA shit, hey, you know what? That's the monster you assholes created.
Yep.
That's the monster that you guys had full ability to do whatever they want without any sort of passing of law for the most part.
Yep.
And now because they're going to go the other way, allegedly, and undo a lot of the shit, that all of a sudden you're going to be like, I just don't think it's fair now. It's funny when the goalposts are moved. It's funny when all of a sudden the beast you created comes back to bite you in the ass. California, you're getting exactly what you deserve. You're going to pay an ass ton of money to Holder. It's going to go nowhere because your legislators are fucking morons. And they're just, like, we have the money to go dump into that ass clown, and they're going to do it at the drop of a head because our feelings are hurt. Hey, go pound sand, pal. Life sucks. Get a fucking helmet.
You know what? So here's what I can see Trump doing. I can see California crying, right, all boo-boo face. We're going to try. We're taking you to court. We're going to force the federal EPA to blah, 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 blah. And Trump says, okay, we're closing the EPA down. Agency doesn't exist. You can't force it to do anything.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be?
Well, and then it tells you how...
And then Obama, and then Trump could say, what are you coming after us for now?
And it tells you how either stupid or intentionally misleading California is, because you know what? Even if the EPA doesn't exist, with the 10th Amendment, you can make your own environmental rules.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
So...
California can act as batshit crazy as it wants.
But here's the problem.
But it can't affect federal resources.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Cannot affect federal resources.
And here is the other big problem with that. Is then it will show you... the only reason California wants this to be a federal thing is so other states don't benefit when they don't want to. So they want this to be a national thing. If you got rid of the EPA and said, no, you can put a moratorium on drilling in California. You can pass whatever law you want. But the other 48 states, 47 states, minus probably Massachusetts and New York,
yep,
and maybe Illinois, they're going to make an ass ton of money, and you guys are going to lose all your business, and you guys are going to lose all these employees and all these taxpayers because they're going to realize you're a fraud. So if you use the federal government to hold people down throughout the entire country, this is their idea. This is their socialism. You hold everybody else down to maintain equality, even though your systems suck.
Yes.
So you're going to punish the entire country because of your systems suck. That's what this is.
Well, let's point out, let's not forget that this is the same state that elected Leland Yee,
Yeah,
who was an opponent of guns, was all over damn near confiscation of gun control, and then he gets sent to prison because he's found shipping guns illegally to San Francisco tongs.
Shrimp boy.
Imagine that.
One of my favorite. That was my favorite.
Your favorite
story.
bad guy nickname?
Yes.
Shrimp Boy?
Shrimp
No,
boy.
that was one of my favorite stories. And it's so funny how the Democrats in the state ran from him like rats off a sinking ship.
Oh, yeah.
Because what they don't want you to see is that is the hypocrisy of all the Democrats. Hey, we don't want you, the little people, to have guns, but as long as I profit and hell, I got my protection whenever I want it, who gives a damn?
Yeah.
When we come back, I'd like to talk about one particular aspect that was written in this story of the Sacramento Bee that I don't think people have picked up on.
I'm okay yielding a few moments
of which
to that.
Story?
For the
one about
Holder.
Eric Holder?
Well, it's your segment, so...
Okay, well, let's do the break and we'll come back.
So I guess I don't have to yield. It's your segment.
Yeah,
I thought it was my segment.
Let's take a break. Let's do what BZ wants to do at 8.
Yeah, no,
Did you catch that?
I'm trying to keep you on time because otherwise I'm sure I would have heard, by the way, we have to go.
Conservative media done right.
Were you talking?
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying cop is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network, where we just realized that one little typo can change the entire experience of the SHR Media page.
Oh.
So make sure that you go to shrmedia.com, C-O-M. Yeah. Just leave it as it is. Let people,
go through the different vowels.
Yeah, part of this is the intrigue. We can set it up and let people figure it out on their own. We don't have to spoon feed them. We have smart listeners. But
Most of them.
You always have to cross the line, don't you?
BZ.
BZ.
Oh, right now. Okay. All right.
Which brings us to BZ's segment. He did want to bring up one more thing about Eric Holder here in California.
If you're reading carefully in this particular story by the Sacramento Bee, one of the lines in it that says De Leon has connections to Covington. Okay, that's Eric Holder's firm, Covington. That extend beyond Holder. Wait, are we talking about possible corruption here? Do I sense some kind of a conflict of interest? Well, read on in the article.
That's actually an amazingly good point.
It goes on like this. Dan Schauman, a partner in the firm's Los Angeles office, is the brother of John Schauman, whose Southern California-based political consulting and advertising agency serves as the longtime consulting home for De Leon and several of the other California elected officials. It is paid a $10,000 a month retainer by the California California Democratic Party. This summer, Schauman Communications hired De Leon's daughter, Luvia de Milagros Carrasco, a recent graduate of St. Mary's College in Moraga, to work as an account coordinator. Once again, this is all intertwined. They know De Leon. De Leon knows other people, and they know Covington. So you're asking, why is Holder getting paid for this instead of working pro bono? Because it's all a pat on the back. You take care of me, I'll take care of you.
What would be awesome is if the Trump administration has his DOJ investigate this for possible corruption.
Well, and I wanted to bring this to a good point, too, and I don't know, and maybe one of our listeners do, or somebody can find out. In California, if you are going to do work on a state building or for a state agency and you are a private contractor, don't you have to go to a bidding process?
Yes, you do.
Don't you have to bid out
Yes.
with other bidders, and then the bidder with the best price and the best job? They vet you ridiculously in the state before you can do any work.
Well,
Yes.
Insurance vetting.
And the other thing is, when I used to order for my department, and I wanted to go sole source on something because there was a particular item that I could only get, something that I wanted, no other vendors that were approved could provide. So if I wanted to go sole source, I had to fill out a document up to 10 pages, and I had to put brothers, sisters, fathers, anyone that could possibly have been in conflict, that I had to list all of these people in order to go sole source to make sure that I wasn't attempting. Yeah. To make sure that, well, they handed me at least a magazine for me to do that. If I wanted to go sole source, I had to splay my guts out to prove before I even submitted the paperwork that there was no conflict of interest.
But here's the difference. You're not an elected god.
But it's even
no, I'm not. But I'm a government employee. I was a government employee.
Right, but that's different than being an elected
on
god.
a state level. If I want to get paid as a contractor,
You are not an elected god, so you have to follow
to
the
clean
rules.
a toilet, I have to bid with 5 other people, and the bid has to be open for a certain amount of days. I know that's a fact. So this goes. I would like to see the corruption. Some RICO charges, maybe.
Who's RICO?
Well, RICO, hell, the Clinton Foundation is a RICO, for Christ's sake.
Absolutely.
It's a global, you're talking about the mafia in New York City.
No, we're
being
talking about
RICO.
the Clinton Foundation.
The Clinton
Yeah, the
Foundation.
mafia.
Yeah,
Upstate New York City.
The Clinton Foundation is a global RICO.
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't, it's not just limited to the United States. It goes over the entire planet, for Christ's sake.
But I think this justifies a RICO investigation as well, because there's certainly some shenanigans. When you're handing state funds to somebody without a vetting process and without...
Maybe there was some BS vetting process that we don't know about.
But even if there was, it wasn't a public bid by the law firm. If he's going through Covington, which is a law firm, then it should have been allowed to have been bid on by other law firms.
But they went sole source.
Right.
Because they can.
And there has to be justification for it, and hopefully we find that out here very shortly. BZ, you also brought up, well, you're on the board next, I should say. Go ahead.
Basically, Barack Obama has been defecating in the punch bowl of Donald Trump, and also for the rest of the nation these past couple of weeks.
Defecating in the punch bowl.
and
let me explain the visual.
No, let's just move on, please. Move on, because I don't.
It was kind of like the Baby Ruth in the swimming pool.
Yes,
but in a
exactly.
punch bowl.
And it's not
with
a present.
BZ taking a bite, saying, "Huh."
It's not a present you want to find.
Go on,
duty.
Here's what happened doing that. Is that Barack Obama fully expected Hillary Rodham Clinton? You guys are still back on that, aren't you?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having Caddyshack flashbacks. That's just awesome. And Bill Murray just...
Okay, let's let the audience digest that for a while. Get it? Digest?
Can we just move on, please, from the poop jokes?
It's Caddyshack. It was a Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth?
Obama fully expected Hillary Rodham Clinton to waltz into office on November 8th.
Or Sash.
And that didn't happen, okay? So Obama knew that he had to jack up the pace of his legacy, so to speak, geometrically, because he expected Hillary Rodham Clinton to continue all of his social engineering that was going up in the form of a proverbial, like the third Obama term. So when she wasn't elected, all of this stuff is occurring because Obama now has, the political last 30 seconds to cram all the stuff that he thought he had 4 years to do into the last 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of his term. So what he's done then is he's decided that he's going to go overboard with all these incredible rules and regulations. The Washington Examiner, the title of its article a couple of days ago, Obama unleashes 3,853 regulations, 18 for every law, a record 97,110 pages of red tape. His lame duck administration poured on thousands more new regulations in 2016 at a rate of 18 for every new law passed, according to a Friday analysis of his team's expansion of federal authority. When Congress passed 211 laws, all of Congress, Obama's team issued an accompanying 3,852 new federal regulations, some costing billions of dollars. The 2016 total was the highest annual number of regulations under Obama. Period. End of statement. But there's more, but wait. There's more. We're talking about Congress, right?
Somewhat.
The weird thing is, here you have Obama, here you have Congress. These are supposed to be the lawmakers, the lawgivers, so to speak. And what you have is Obama having installed a bunch of faceless bureaucrats, and he's given them basically stellar influence, authority, dominion, unbridled power to all these faceless and unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats. They have more power now than many of the people in Congress.
We need our own.
And you have no
no
control
Exactly.
over them. You have no oversight over these asshats.
Yep. Yeah.
Unlike Congress.
Still love that word.
They are answerable to no one. And they were offended when Donald Trump's people began to come into them, into the EPA and the other cabinet positions and non-cabinet positions, and said, I want to know who's in charge. Give me your names.
They were offended because they know they're going to be asked to leave.
But what you've done is...
They weren't offended. They were scared.
What you've done is, through all these executive orders... and other presidents have numerically issued more executive orders than Obama, but Obama has issued the greatest number of executive orders with the words shall and must in them.
And
that means that executive order isn't a suggestion, it's mandatory. No other president before Obama has issued as many EOs specifically stating with those words, and trust me, that is all the difference in the world. Well, must and shall.
Well, right. So you're now taking away any sort of decision-making process there. There's no discretion whatsoever when you add the word
to
must.
Whom do you appeal?
Nobody.
Do you go to Congress? No.
Because they didn't pass it.
They didn't pass it. Some of these people are czars that were simply appointed, boom, from on high.
And a lot of things, too, is you're going to see if Trump goes in and he starts getting rid of some of these executive orders through his own. First of all, that's going to add... So in order to undo executive orders, you have to issue another executive order.
Yes.
So I caution everybody now, when we start talking about executive orders, saying 2 years, and they start throwing out such a high number for Trump, you have to look at how many of them were to repeal other executive orders, first and foremost. Secondly, how many of those are going to get fought in court and be held up for a ridiculous amount of time and cost taxpayers an ass ton of money?
It depends on how much they want to.
Well, it depends, because if he issues an executive order, he's going to say, this is effective immediately, and then they're going to have to go back into court and try and get the old order reinstated.
As Hugh Hewitt pointed out this morning when I listened to his show, he said, basically, Obama said that I can do much with a phone call and a pen.
Yep.
And with the executive orders, guess what? The things that can be done with a pen and a phone call can also, by President Trump, be undone with a phone and a pen.
Yep. But you know as well as I do, a lot of these people, once you start getting into unions and all this other stuff, they're going to start fighting legally. So it's easy to enact these ridiculous executive orders, but to undo them, they're going to start getting fought in court. And the other side is... We, the taxpayers, are now going to have to pay to fight those executive order appeals in a court of law, or they're going to remain in place. It is such a calamity.
I don't think they can remain in place if Obama, unless they get a stay.
Right.
But here's the thing: what judge is going to say, yes, a president has the authority to enact that order that you want to stay in place,
right?
But this president does not have the authority to write an order rescinding that. That would be such a ridiculous argument, and be based on, if anything, that first judge could say, well, this presidential administration didn't have the initial authority to issue this executive order, but if they recognize the presidential authority to issue that executive order, they also must recognize the presidential authority
to rescind
it.
Yes.
And there's no other way to look at that. And I don't care how many activist judges you have or whatever, but there is no other legal way that, I guess you could make any argument in America's legal system.
The Democrats have still not learned that when you open a door and you walk through it, once that door is opened, lots of people can walk through that door.
Exactly.
And it's difficult to shut.
And we talked about that when Obama started issuing all these executive orders, if you remember, Shaun.
Yes.
And BZ, I think you're absolutely right. But I don't think, Shaun, that you can take anybody to court for anything, but I don't think a judge is going to stop the order from going into place. I agree with you that these groups may fight to.
But it's just going to sully the system.
It will.
And that's my biggest problem with it is...
That's what the left does, though.
Exactly.
They piss and moan and cry and riot and
but that's
fight,
what I want to show beyond the executive order.
But then everything goes to court, right?
Beyond the executive order, how much it costs to fight this stuff, and that's part of the leftist undoing. They don't just hit you in the jaw with this ridiculous executive orders, while they're punching you in the jaw, their friends running around and stealing your pants. Like, they'll do anything they can to belittle you and destroy the system to their benefit.
And while they're doing that and talking to your face, they'll turn around and knife you in the kidneys.
Which is why I don't wear pants, so they can't steal them.
Right, and then when you try to do the same thing to them, they call foul.
Yes.
Yeah, oh gosh.
I call pants leg prisons, by the way.
Could you imagine if the Senate says, you know what, we're going to use the nuclear option like Harry Reid did, and the Democrats saying we're just going to go with 51 votes?
Yeah. Well, and they've already alluded to that on a few times. A few of the senators have alluded to that very much so.
Yep. Now that you bring it, just reminds me of this. Did you guys hear little Chucky Schumer today?
Little Chucky.
I
like that.
Little Chucky.
Talk about Jeff Sessions. And essentially what he said about Jeff Sessions is we have to pull every string to make sure that we kill him. So what that means to me is that they believe
there was a death threat,
that he's going to focus as AG many criminal cases on the Democratic Party. That was not noticed by the media. But when they begin to focus on an individual like that, that means they're either afraid or they think that he's going to attempt to undo lots of things. That tells me the focus is so on him. And if he thinks that he's going to push through, guaranteed the Democrats are going to do their level best to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
now, will they be able to? I don't know. But they're going to give it every try they can.
Of course they are.
Well, it says
the Dems are digging into fight on everything.
It's going to be a fight every
step
week.
of the way. Yeah.
Well, but
and it's
understand
not
too,
stopping.
They're almost digging into fight, much like Gaddafi used to dig into fight. They're currently the paper tiger. They don't hold any power on the federal level.
Yep.
They
lost over 1,000 seats nationally under Obama.
They're petrified of what might get dug up by AG Sessions. They're petrified that, hey, you know what? Maybe if the FBI and other agencies are allowed to just do their job and not have political influence, it may affect their livelihood. It may show you that the Democrats are a giant RICO foundation. The Democrats themselves may end up being one giant RICO organization.
At least the party.
At least the party.
And see, the whole thing with Russia is a focus on that.
And yet WikiLeaks and Assange came out and said, we didn't get anything from Russia.
Not anything from Russia. Now, it's going to be interesting because the intelligence agencies say that they're going to provide some kind of evidence tomorrow.
It's not going to be real evidence.
They say, but I'm going to be very curious to see what their evidence
But they said they had evidence before the election. They never produced it.
And didn't have it.
Look, this guy right here. It got an email to the U.S. Department. It says, I hacked your system and I'm Russian. See? This is our evidence.
This is Boris Yeltsin
Gorbachev.
And as you can see here on his Atari 2600 that he was purely able to hack based on the interwebs going on, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, that's pretty much what you're going to get out of them.
He's like, so we got this information because I took computer expertise class from Sackhead Clint. And if you know Sackhead Clint, you know he's a huge, big expert.
But dude, you know he's the technical strategist for SHR Media.
SHR Media.
So you know that goes a long way,
right? You should Google him. Oh, that wasn't him. Who was that supposed to be? Osako. Damn it.
Part of this particular article that I referred to from the Washington Examiner also says the constitutional misindex is meant to show that it's the federal bureaucracy, not Congress, that levies the most rules. There's no pattern to any of this, since the numerators and denominators can vary widely. There have been 114 laws in 2015 and a multiple of 39. The multiple can be higher with fewer laws or with more regulations holding the other constant. The point is that agencies do the bulk of lawmaking. Agencies,
and that's the problem.
Do the bulk of
We've
lawmaking.
talked about this before. We've talked about it specifically with the EPA, but other agencies as well.
You want EPA indicators right here? I looked up a couple more that went with the EPA. The EPA fines a Wyoming guy, a rancher, $16 million for building a pond on his property.
How dare he build water?
Well, the problem is that water doesn't belong to him according to the EPA.
That's exactly correct.
Right.
Hey!
EPA wants to regulate streams. If because of rainfall and low points on your property, the EPA can and wants to regulate you and that stream.
As much as they can.
The EPA wants to regulate water collected from the sky. In leftist Fornicalia, I say, already in Marin County. Anybody that doesn't know Marin County, that's where Robin Williams used to live, and it's a leftist county.
And that's where the singer from Metallica just fled from.
Yes,
Yeah,
James Hetfield
Colorado.
just decided that he was going to give. Well, he was living in Sausalito, but that's in Marin County, and he fled. But basically, Marin County makes it illegal for you to collect rainwater from the sky. It belongs to Marin County. It doesn't belong to you.
And it's in a drought. That's the best part about it is California, we're in a drought. Marin, we're in a drought, but you can't save any of your water. Wait, what?
And if you don't think I'm correct, go Google it. You'll find it.
Wait, I can't wait. But this U-Ban can that I have outside my back patio, you're not going to collect all the water that lands at my back patio. So why can't I use it to flush a toilet?
No, it's where water pools.
Yeah, no, we're gonna wait. What?
What? And I've said this before, and I'll
Theft
say it
of
again.
water.
I'll say it before and say it again. Why does the federal government have any say where the water goes? They care so much about the water going that they don't do anything in California to help it.
It's about power and control.
Yep.
Period. End of statement.
It needs to be destroyed, is what it needs to be.
It needs to be completely ripped apart.
And that is exactly what California, to wrap this up to our original Holder and Trump conversation, that's exactly what California is absolutely petrified of, is that the EPA is going to be gutted. And that only, quote-unquote, some common sense things probably left in, like you can't dump toxic waste in a school park. That sort of thing. But as far as drilling, water collection, all that other stuff that is when it's on private property, and everyone forgets, especially when it comes to drilling. When it comes to drilling, the only permits that get issued now are on private land, and even then to get that costs you an exorbitant amount of money from the feds. They will not permit drilling on any federal land whatsoever right now.
Oh, you just opened a big door right now.
Vat of oil.
Oh, oil? What about this? What about the largest land grab in United States history?
When we took the Indians?
1.6 million acres of land taken, confiscated by the federal government.
From the Indians.
From Utah and Nevada at the stroke of a pen on the Monuments Act. That is for a monument. What's a monument? A statue, a place, etc. And under the Monuments Act, it was meant for that, so that if you have some kind of a building that needs to be saved, or some kind of a rock formation that needs to be saved, we're going to save it. 1.6 billion acres confiscated from Utah and Nevada under the Monuments.
Hang on. I need to apologize to our SHR viewers. We pride ourselves on being accurate. We pride ourselves on being accurate.
Okay.
And, in fact, the biggest land grab was under Manifest Destiny. So, BZ...
Our second
biggest land grab would be the Monuments Act.
No, you're wrong there. I can trump you on that. The biggest land grab was Hitler under Lebensraum.
We were talking for America.
Okay, well, I just threw a fact in there. You came back at me with facts. I'm going to come back at you with facts.
I would say Roman Empire.
No, I get you all beat. Ready?
Go. Yeah.
The moon.
With our flag.
With our flag on it. We claimed this in the name of America.
I claimed this planet in the name of Mars. Isn't this lovely?
Let's nuke it, then mine it. By the way, you know who created the EPA?
Clinton? No.
Richard Nixon.
Yeah, that's shocking. But I think with a lot of other ideals, sometimes it comes as a good idea and then gets perverted.
Yes, if there is a good intention, the ADA. initially started off with good intentions. Now there are ADA Nazis, at least in this state,
like crazy,
who go from place to place to place. And my little teeny store in my little town had an ADA Nazi come in and physically pull out a measuring tape and said that the counter on this little guy who's trying to make a living, his counter wasn't low enough and cost him $5,000.
Yep.
That's like somebody walking into your house and saying, Shaun, I want $5,000, and if you don't give it to me within a week, I'm going to sue you and take your house.
What if that little ADA troll, what if that owner would have seen him as soon as he started pulling out that tape measure, he slapped it out of his hand and said, get out of my store, you're trespassing.
Yeah. Then he went. Well, he was going to. See, here's the other thing, too.
What can he do?
Oh, my God, you got me off.
Wait,
on
hang on a
rant.
second. What can he do? Can he say, no, I'm
no,
here from
he's
the
going to
government?
sue. There's the other thing about these ADA Nazis. There's a particular attorney who's in a wheelchair around here and sends out his little trolls, his little minions, to do his work.
Oh, I know of him.
Yes, and what he does is he extorts money from you,
Yes.
and then part of that, even if you comply, he'll sue you. Then part of the suit is you can't tell how you got the money, how much money was spent. He'll sue you and then limit you in that contract.
Yes, and they're all over the place.
He is an ADA Nazi.
And listen, don't get me wrong. I'm
sorry he's in a wheelchair. Other than that, he can go straight to hell.
I understand having access and compliance, but there's also reality that has to be put into place at some point as well. Like I said, my father, who was in a wheelchair the last 5.5, 6 years of his life, I knew all too well the limitations of some places. But never once did he nor I or anyone that had to move my father around in that wheelchair ever once go to an old store on the north end of Boston and be like, I can't get in there, let's sue. Never even thought about it.
Let me give you another example. There's a local law enforcement.
30 seconds.
There's a local law enforcement agency around here that teaches cops to drive. They had an instructional office, and they were charged $75,000 because they had to put in a wheelchair ramp. When was the last damn time you saw a cop in a wheelchair driving a cop car?
On Family Guy, as a matter of fact.
I can't remember that.
Joe the cop is in a wheelchair. That's the last time I remember it. They also had to sue in New Jersey to have handicap access to a fire truck, according to Jersey Joe, when he was on the fire department there. So, or at least he was. So it goes to tell you, anyone who can sue will sue. Mama, the path to the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I do absolutely agree. We're up against a break. When we come back, it's going to be my segment. Wow, I'm actually going to get to talk in this place? That's nice.
Like you haven't.
We're talking about some jobs. We're going to talk about the Trump influence over the economy and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Shaun from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying cop, stupid bro.
Sackhead Clint.
all good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Shaun, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network, hour number 2.
That was After Dark voice.
That was my After Dark voice.
Where does it go? We were just talking. It's like, I got here, I opened the door, I sat down, it's now 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's how it happens here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Yes.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
As it were.
On a trapeze of bullshit and politics.
Why not?
Which is really duplicitous.
Right. This is very true.
I'm excited about this segment.
I'm excited about this segment, too.
I'm excited about this segment.
I had a friend of mine reach out to me this week, and she regularly converts money to euros for a bunch of different reasons. And
mostly for laundering purposes.
Mostly.
Like laundry.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, right. Why wouldn't you, right? So, I mean, you can get away with it. So, no, I'm just kidding. That is not a legal advisement.
That is not legal. There is no money laundering going on that we know about whatsoever, anywhere,
ever. So,
lawyer bullshit.
But you notice something strange, that in the last 5 months, since Brexit, and since it looked like Trump was actually going to start winning right up to the end, the dollar versus the euro has changed dramatically. Now, you go back...
Oh, and the peso.
You go back to 2014. It was as much as 75 cents per euro for $1 US, or as low as, I should say. The highest it spiked in the last year was early 2015, where it got to just under $1 equal. And right now it's at that same point. It is, for every US dollar, it's 0.95 euro.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird how it's starting to really spike in the last, it looks like 2 to 3 months. Funny how that happens. Now, Brexit definitely plays a role in that.
Yep.
Right? The euro took a hit because, well, frankly, it may lead to other people dropping out of the EU, and then the euro is useless. But you now have Britain's money coming out of the EU, essentially.
Uh-huh.
Well, and they said of Brexit, the stock market's going to tank and it'll never come back.
Just keep going up.
It did. It went down 600 points, and 3 days later it was back to where it was.
And now
it's almost pushing 20,000 on the Dow.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that's natural. I'm just saying it occurred.
Right. And it's very, very... But the dollar is much more indicative, usually, of what our... economy is doing, or possibly will be doing, especially against the euro. That's always been kind of our. Someone's calling you. Go
That's right.
I don't know why the Sackhead phone's ringing.
It's the illegal immigrant that we have clean the studio, wanting to know if she can come in right now.
Hotline. So, so then let's look at the Mexican peso, because that's for us specifically. That conversion gets made a lot in California for some strange reason.
Well, and what's the dealio with that? The thing where Ford now announced that it's scuttling a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico.
Yep.
And keeping it here in the United States.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if you know, but Mexico is already having a terrible gas problem. They have their Pemex. The production is down.
They need Tums.
They're having a hell of a time refining petroleum. Now, they're a great source. They used to be the number one provider of oil to the United States, but now they're having an interior problem with the refinery capacity, and because of that, they're also having oil heists.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a massive black market on that. So oil and the price of gas is skyrocketing, and the peso is plummeting. And now Mexico is kvetching because, you're going to take 3,000 Mexican jobs, which didn't fucking belong in Mexico, and keep them in the United States of America. BZ to Mexico. Shut the fuck up.
So, back in 2013, the Mexican peso, for every 12 Mexican pesos, you got $1 US. It is now over 21.47 to be exact, Mexican pesos per US dollar. And wait, I shall continue because it just makes me kind of giggle. And a lot of these spikes, like I said, have been in the last 2 months. You used to have, back in 2013, the Canadian dollar was almost equal. Almost equal. It was up to $1.50 in early 2016, and now it's down to about $1.35, $1.33 to be exact. But the last couple of ticks on it are starting to increase. What does all of that say? And why I think this is key, and I think it's something that people would miss on a regular basis. If it wasn't pointed out to me, I most likely would have as well. All of a sudden, our economy outlook is starting to turn around. Our dollar is starting to do better against foreign money.
And guess what? The guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head isn't even president yet.
Well, I call this the Trump effect. The guy hasn't even done a day in office. I had this discussion with a friend of mine today at work. And he is a libertarian, social issues, leans a little liberal, but libertarian most of the time, my buddy Nate. Really good guy. But I said, all this stuff is an effect on, he hasn't even gotten into office yet. You can't talk about the negative effects, really, because there hasn't been any previous to him going into office that I have seen, and he hasn't done anything officially, so you can't even look at that. But what has come out of this? We had the Carrier deal just after he was elected.
Carrier, the Apple, the iPhone.
Apple iPhone deals starting to come back here.
There was also the issue of Ford leaving its Kentucky plant.
Yep.
They decided to stay.
And now you have Ford going back
Ford
to Detroit.
Announcement saying that, we were in fact thinking about going to Mexico for another production line, not the Kentucky production line.
Right.
And we're going to keep it right here.
In Detroit. So what does that tell you already? Just from the business-wise. And listen, like I said, and I've said this before, I'm not saying that the guy's going to walk in and fix the world's problems.
No, and I'm saying we're going to hate a lot of the crap that he's going to do.
Well, and maybe we will, maybe we won't, but he has yet to do it, so I can't judge him for it.
Well, the leftists don't mind doing that at all in the slightest.
But that's why we're better than they are. A lot better than they are. But you start looking at what this is telling businesses, big businesses and small businesses, is the changes that they're seeing, their money people, their planners, their strategists, people that get paid to do this, see a better production value in America in the coming years. For you or I probably could look at a shit ton of numbers and not understand anything. But when you have these people at Ford, Carrier, these financial strategists, these planners, these people who they have to give these reports to their stock owners. And when they're turning around saying, we may be better off staying here, just based on what they've seen preliminary and what people are being appointed to certain positions, That says to me that the financial outlook is pretty dang good. Which is one of the biggest things that he ran on, is turning America around business-wise. That was one of his biggest changes at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that he was going to have the ability to make America a business-friendly place again. And once you get a big group like Carrier, when Carrier did it, I was impressed. But Carrier isn't as big as Ford.
No, but that was just the beginning.
But that was just the beginning. Now you have Ford not once, but twice holding back. When was the last time we heard of any business holding back from sending jobs out of country because of taxes and everything else? I can't remember.
Yeah, but wait. In California, they're still hemorrhaging businesses.
Like crazy. Like crazy. But it's California.
Yes.
It's just California. That's just how it
Nearby, most of them are going to Texas. Do you remember when Rick Perry came to California?
Oh, yes.
On his little trip? And tried to solicit businesses to go to Texas? That's what a good governor does. That's his job. Guess what? He took some businesses back with him.
Yes, he did.
I wrote a post probably a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I delineated specifically over 100 businesses that just up to that particular point within those 2 years prior had left California.
Yep.
It was a list of massive amount of businesses.
Yep.
For the sole reason that how a small business makes a profit here in California is beyond me.
Well, and here's the problem to my friends in Texas. Here's the only downside of that. This is why you're seeing a little surgence of blue in Texas, is because Rick Perry did come to California and bring businesses to Texas. So you get the bad with the good, unfortunately.
Well, you can't have everything.
You can never win everything. But we go back to the economy and the jobs. I mean, you look at other companies. I forget what two other companies announced they're adding jobs. But I want to say like 12,000 jobs just since the last 3 weeks have been announced that are going to be adding in 2017. So that, on the other hand...
Well, here, you have to do what I call the logical extension. You have to consider 2 or 3 moves down the road.
Right.
And that's this. We know that technology is minimizing the number of available jobs in entry-level minimum wage venues.
Absolutely.
So we know that technology is going to come in and it's replacing those particular people. We know that the better paying jobs are attached to when a business actually makes things, creates things, builds things, technology, computers. In other words, you need people who are skilled, educated, well-trained. So, for all the people that want to come in, we want to suck up all these various Syrian Muslim refugees, etc. We want to keep the flood coming in from Mexico for fewer and fewer jobs that these people will qualify.
Yes.
That makes no sense. So, because of that, and the job market getting stronger here in California, resultingly, well, California, the nation, because the job market is going to get markedly better. Already they're pissing and moaning about it in Mexico. Do you think that because things now are getting worse in Mexico and better here, there's going to be an even greater assault on the southern border? And the answer would be yes. So does Trump need to build the wall? Hell yes, he does.
Well, you know, and it's funny, too. In a conversation I had about the wall recently and Trump, somebody said, well, you know, a lot of that's going to have to go across private property, blah, 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 and that's just going to be a nightmare. What are they going to do? Use some sort of federal law in order to take that private land? And is that what we want to do? Do we want to take private land, people to build a wall, blah, blah, blah? I said, well, stop.
No, absolutely stop. Talk to Sheriff Paul Babu in Arizona, and all the ranchers and people that own land that abuts the southern border.
Yes.
And how they're constantly shot at, how they're constantly assaulted.
Burglarized?
How can these ranches and
find
people,
dead bodies on their property?
How can they make money and still stay on their ranches, and yet they still persevere?
Well, and so I said you have to look at it that perspective. You have to look at the fact that these people are the ones dealing with this immigration issue, and people running across borders, and coyotes dropping these half-dead bodies on their property that we now have to, and then jump back over the border.
And Mexican cartel people sitting on the tops of mountains with scoped rifles.
Yep.
Because the tops of these mountains give great tactical advantage.
Huge tactical advantage.
For the cartel members trying to come into the United States and bring their product.
Top-down protection.
And if you don't think that they're sitting on tops of mountains in the United States, you're wrong.
Guess who they're shooting at? They're not shooting at Mexicans. They're shooting at American law enforcement trying to stop them. That's who they're shooting at. And anyone that might get in their way.
And I'm telling you, take the gloves off the USBP, all those men and women are dying to do their job. Well, they can't wait.
And you also have ranchers who've been assaulted. You have people that have been murdered. All these things have occurred on our southern border. You don't hear about them because mainstream news doesn't want to tell you about it. They don't want it
covered. It's unpopular.
But if you go and read just social media, there's a lot of places you can follow these sources for. It's happening. The other thing, too, is there's language out there essentially saying, hey, yeah, you know what? If we build the wall, we don't necessarily have to do it over our side of the border because we're trying to keep them out of our country. So you can build it just inside and aligning on their border as long as it meets X, Y, and Z criteria. And I've heard some language about that. I haven't been able to research it because I just heard it 8 hours ago.
I'm sure there are some property obstructionists who would rather not have a wall built on their property. That's going to be a given.
Right.
And in truth, I don't think you need to build a complete wall. There are certain sections that you would probably want to because of geographic characteristics.
Yes.
Which sort of, they lend themselves to a wall much more readily than other characteristics, which sort of are natural barriers to that. But when you can rinky-tinkle across the Rio Grande and only get your ankles moist, then that might be a place where you'd want to install a wall. Just a suggestion.
Just a little something to take a peek-see at. I would like to just point out to all the leftists who are talking about all the horrible things that Trump's going to do. So far, I have yet to see one. And I said this before. I think when you see a Trump administration, you're going to see two things. One, some people be held accountable for their actions, which is fine. Two, I think you're going to see agencies get slashed that are just useless agencies, especially ones that obstruct business and private property rights in this country.
Oh, my God, yes. That's an entirely separate issue. Private property rights.
Yes.
Here's what the federal government loves to do. It loves to steal your rights and your freedoms and then sell them back to you.
At a higher rate.
Yes.
Much higher rate, actually.
Jesse Joe in the chat room was saying that, hey, didn't we build and fund a fence? And Jersey Joe, you're absolutely correct. There was the 2006, I think it was actually called the Secure Fence Act.
Yes.
Of 2006.
You're 100% correct.
The money has actually been apportioned for that.
Yes. And it's just sitting there. But it's also, it's kind of like California.
The money has been encumbered. It is sitting there.
It just needs
and has been sitting there.
Well, and it's much like California with their water storage money and approval. There's no reason for a drought in the state. They've had money approved for 20 years. And they haven't
Well, they won't build any damn infrastructure because of the enviros.
Same thing with that fence. It's been minimal. Absolutely minimal. And here's the other problem, too, with the fence. Everyone who talks, well, we already have a fence. We already have a fence. If you just go look on video for Mexican to American boarding crossings on YouTube, add the word fence into it. There's hundreds of hours of people just scaling that fence like it's nothing. So even when there is something stopping them from coming over, when they can climb it like a fence versus a solid wall that's much harder to climb, and I'm sure they can needle into it, we can do there'll be maintenance work, etc. But when there's no tier to walk, so to speak, when you have nobody on top watching, when you don't have anything for them to stop them, they're going to go right over it.
Well, and further,
if you don't do, I said it from the beginning, if you don't do a 20-foot wall that's 10 feet wide so you can ride like some sort of vehicle down it and have different, I hate to say like a prison, but like a prison.
Well, and 20 feet deep as well, at least.
Yeah, and you come a couple miles down and there's a station on top of it where they can rest, get drinks, whatever, and keep going. It will be an ineffective fence and border, and that needs to change. Excuse me.
Well, the other thing I'm probably sure that you've seen is that ICE folks have come into a number of, at least 3 times of which I'm aware, into Laredo, Texas, and dropped off at bus stops loads of immigrants.
Yes.
Who've gotten in, and ICE, trust me when I tell you, it's the chiefs, not the Indians. The Indians, the line-level officers,
they want to go get them.
Want to go get these
Absolutely.
people. They are told by the administrators, who are then beaten by the Obama administration, let my people go.
Do not touch them. Do not touch them. Well, and it harkens me back, because you used that word earlier.
Thank you very much.
To a story a couple years ago out of Texas, where there was 2 Texas sheriffs who were chasing a car out of Mexico that crossed the border illegally, believed to be a drunk car. They came across the Rio Grande at a shallow point. It was a 4-wheel drive. I want to say it was a Tahoe or a Suburban. As they were pursuing it, it eventually made its way back to the same crossing location to go back into Mexico. And as they did, a Mexican army, maybe it was stolen, maybe it wasn't, American Humvee came over the ridge with a 50 cal on top and provided cover for the cartel drug runner to cross safely, because as soon as the 2 sheriffs saw they knew what was going on, they got the hell out, as they should have. So the other thing, people cross by car all the time. It's not unreasonable. And I equate it, and I've talked about this before, I equate immigration to our house. If you right now open your doors and your windows and remove them completely from your house, you can put up all the signs you want and make all the rules about no trespassing, don't steal in my house, don't use my food, you can put a sign on everything. What's eventually going to happen? Your house is going to be robbed blind. People are going to come in and live in it, they're going to squat, they're going to do whatever they want to do. And it doesn't even mean that the people doing it are bad people per se. However, the opportunity presents itself, and they're going to take it. So you need to be on the forefront of that. You need to be ahead of it. Having a fence or a wall is not some archaic... I don't understand these people. That's just not who we are. What does that even mean?
Wall seems to work for D.C. Wall seems to work for gated communities.
But
Wall seems to work for senators.
I don't understand how they say that's an American thing. Like, I don't get that. Like, oh, it's not who we are to have a fence. What, across a border? Why not?
Have you been to Mexico recently?
It doesn't even matter. It's our country.
Yes, it is our country, but even in Mexico, you go and look at various villas.
God, it's just like being in the Middle East.
And they have walls, and what do they have on top of the walls? Into cement, yes, broken glass.
Broken glass. And
I saw it myself.
Barbed wire. Any sort of barbed wire that you could possibly take.
And we can't build a fence.
Right, and they're so it's racist to build a fence. No. It's not racist to build a fence. It's racist to say, I'm going to build this fence, and anybody who's not white is going to get shot trying to cross it. That's racist to say. But to build a fence just to protect our sovereignty is not inherently racist.
Let me repeat what I've said a number of years ago. Let's say the sovereign country of France, full of white people, happened to be to our south.
Yep.
And they were doing to us what Mexico is doing.
Yep.
I'd say it's time to kick all the frogs out of the United States and not let them in.
Look, if we were having this problem with our friends to the north...
It's not a matter of race. It's a matter of national sovereignty. It's our country, just as you said.
If we were having this problem with our friends to the north, and I don't want to upset our friend Kel Fritzy, who's our Canadian listener, that's how I know we're international. But if we're having this problem with America's hat, as I like to call Canada, then yeah, I would build a fence as well. The problem is we're not getting a lot of drug running from Manitoba into the United States.
No, we're not.
We're not getting a lot of drug running from Winnipeg and, let's see, I'm trying to, Saskatchewan?
But there are lots of French in the eastern portion of Canada. Let's not forget that.
No, Montreal, I know it very well. I've been there a bunch of times. If we were having those problems from any of those places, then I would recommend the same freaking
Exactly. Race has nothing. Repeat, for those of you who just tuned in, race has nothing to do with it.
Why do you think we patrol our waters so heavily? Just for the same reason. It's the exact same thing. We can't build a fence in the ocean, so we have a really heavy U.S. Coast Guard presence and Border Patrol presence. We have Border Patrol planes constantly flying interdiction all over our waters to keep outsiders from coming in through there at the tune of billions of dollars a year.
Well,
nobody's calling that anything. Nobody has a word for it.
We have interests. We have self-interests. Mexico has its self-interests.
I sure do.
The United States has its self-interests. We need to look out for each other. Mexico needs to look out for itself. So when Mexico loses jobs, my first thought is it's not the United States' responsibility to create jobs in Mexico.
At all.
Boo-hoo.
At all. Unless, and I've said this before, if NAFTA was a damn good deal, as everyone tried to say it was back in the day, Mexico would be flourishing right now. And people forget that. It's been in place for what, almost 25 years? Mexico's 10 times worse than it was 25 years ago before NAFTA.
Yes. Question for you, Shaun, because I happen to know the answer.
We're on a break, so
like
you're
a
gonna
good
be quick.
attorney. Quick question.
Go ahead.
Do the trains that go down Kansas City Southern trains, part of a Class 2 railroad in the United States, do they get searched?
Nope.
When they come back from Mexico?
Nope.
Nope.
Not even sorta.
Nope.
Not even sorta.
Nope.
There is
Why?
no search.
NAFTA.
And who knows what could get smuggled on those trains as they come out of the southern border. Folks, we're up against a break. When we come back, oh, look at that. It seems that Clint gets to talk again.
Will he come back?
Interesting. I also want to talk about two stories I came across late if we have time, right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun,
Dude, I'm not saying half was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for sticking with us. It's the last 30 minutes. It's been that quick.
It's like you come in, you sit down, you turn on the taps, you feel the bath water, you put your toe into it, and then you have to take your toe right back out. How depressing.
It really is upsetting. It really is upsetting. So I want to cover two quick stories before we get out of here, but I do want to talk about Obama and the Russian sanctions, the Putin response, and the fact that these sanctions were... It kills me. So Iran, we're giving back... Oh, God.
You know, when you say that, when you just say that one word, Iran, there are so many places you can go with that. The first thing that I think of is a C-130 darkened at night flying into Tehran, and then the back ramp comes down, and then out come 3 pallets full of cash.
Well, it wasn't a C-130 because we used a Swiss plane to deliver it.
Oh, damn it.
Because it had to be a neutral
Well, that was
country.
just in my head. But it played well in my brain housing group.
So you look at Iran and everything this administration's given them for the nukes and for essentially negotiating with terrorism by buying back a whole bunch of things. It doesn't matter. But now you flash forward. Oh, by the way, when they were trying to buy back those prisoners of war, they made it like it was some sort of democracy wins type thing.
All right.
And it wasn't. But that's neither here nor there.
And they said, oh, we're negotiating with Iran moderates. Hello?
There's no such thing.
There is no such
thing. Not in government, anyhow.
And they were not negotiating with moderates.
Let's look at the Russian sanctions for a moment, will you? So these sanctions were allegedly over hacking and meddling in our election system. So first of all, what that says to the average moron American who's not paying attention is this is a done deal because we're imposing sanctions on another country. So the investigation must be complete, and now we have our evidence to do so. We're imposing sanctions. We're kicking out people. We're keeping people from being able to, rich people from being able to do business.
Right,
et cetera,
we removed 35 pseudo-diplomats who really were probably spying.
Right.
And we closed 2 compounds, one in Maryland.
Yep.
And yes, they probably were spying,
Yep.
yes.
And one in New York.
And everyone knows, well, that's what you do.
Right. However, that being said, nothing has been proven yet with the election meddling.
No.
Whatsoever. There's been no evidence presented yet. None whatsoever.
And see, here's what I find uniquely
because it's
interesting.
not there.
here's what I find uniquely interesting. Now, all of a sudden, magically, when it serves their agenda, leftists and the Obama administration in particular are saying that the CIA and the intelligence community is definitely a believable entity. We believe that all of those listed and enumerated 17 agencies, as they like to say, because the response is, well, those 17 agencies, they wouldn't say anything like that unless there was some kind of veracity behind it, correct? So we need to believe our intelligence agencies
All the time.
Despite the fact that Jim Clapper, the DNI, who's in charge, he's the director of national intelligence, he's in charge over the CIA. The director of the CIA is Brennan. James Clapper came before Congress and said that we do not look into America's emails. That was a fucking lie. So we still have to believe the CIA, and we have to believe our intelligence community. Stop. Wait a minute. Aren't these the same asshats that said that the intelligence that was provided to the Bush administration about weapons of mass destruction, that intelligence was shite?
Yep, no good.
But now, if it serves our agenda, we must believe the CIA and the DNI, who, oh, that's right, they have lied to us, but it makes a good narrative to believe them now. Transfer back to an article that I read on Ken's show from Monday, basically from this Propellerhead website that's from WordPress, because my blog is run by WordPress. And it's a huge, long article about hacking and about Russia, and it says this, overall conclusion, because trust me, this thing is hella long, and you can read it if you want to. Overall conclusion. The IP addresses that DHS provided, Department of Homeland Security, may have been used for an attack by a state actor like Russia, but they don't appear to provide any association with Russia. They are probably used by a wide range of other malicious actors, especially the 15% of IP addresses that are toll exit nodes. That's a particular technical term that I have no damn idea what it means. The malware sample that DHS provided is old, widely used, and appears to be Ukrainian. It has no apparent relationship with Russia intelligence, and it would be an indicator of compromise for any website.
Yes.
So a Propellerhead, and they have no political affiliations really left or right. I'm sure they probably lean more left than they do right. But essentially the Propellerheads are saying, from what we see, we can state there is no conclusion, no definitive evidence of this from Russia. Compounded by the fact that everyone has been saying recently and knows, did you see the interview with Julian Assange, by the way, with Hannity?
Yes.
Assange happened to say, and this is true, John Podesta went into his email and clicked a link that put malware on his computer that, as Julian Assange said, any 14-year-old would know not the hell to do. And it was known through WikiLeaks emails and the emails that came out of Podesta that his password was password.
Well, that makes sense. The guy only was potentially in charge of some national security stuff at some point.
So this is a focus. This is an attempt to deflect from the fact that there was rampant corruption. The DNC did its level best to make sure that Bernie Sanders did not gain any traction whatsoever, and in fact he did not. To cover Hillary Rodham Clinton, to cover Barack Hussein Obama, who enacted executive privilege to make sure that his emails, which were sent under a pseudonym, were not revealed because he sent them to Clinton's homebrew server, and you can't reveal the content of those. It's all a deflection to keep it away. Not once has the DNC, Hillary Clinton, John Podesta said the content in those emails is false and it has no validity whatsoever. Did you ever hear any of those actors say that? I have not.
I have not either. So you go through all of this, and then we get these sanctions. And Putin's response, after initially Somebody in the Kremlin said, hey, we're expelling 35 diplomats, all this other stuff.
Yeah, I love this.
Putin woke up the next day and went, whoa, 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 whoa.
Hang on.
Everyone stop. We'll deal with these sanctions with the next administration. I'm not even acknowledging them at
I'm
this
not
point.
doing anything right now.
Not going to do anything. Just have it. We'll talk.
Just hand me a grilled cheese sandwich.
It literally, the best part about that is that literally says to Obama, you are so feckless and so just useless.
Yeah, you're not worth my time.
Not even worth my time. Isn't that absolutely amazing?
That's wonderful.
So the best insult, just before he goes on his last vacation, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, this was one. I know where you're going, and this was great.
The final insult for Barack Obama from Putin was just before Obama went to Hawaii one last time. He's out of office in, 16 days?
Yeah.
Couldn't have waited 24 days to go to Hawaii on your last vacation? I understand he did some official business while he was there. As a matter of fact, I want to talk about some of that official business while he was there.
I'm dying to hear, please.
Because as he's making his last trip around the world, so to speak, and, vacation on the American dollar, one of the things that he had to do in this last week is address the final address for the military. So he lands and then he goes to the Joint Base Meyer in Arlington, Virginia for a military farewell ceremony. Just got off the plane from Hawaii. Just took his vacation, his last vacation on the American dollar. Yet again. And he couldn't wait 2 weeks to do it on his own.
That's one final little
just
from him
pisses
to
me
us.
off.
That's the flying middle finger of fate.
So, while speaking at Joint Base Meyer in Arlington, Virginia, the president touted the fact, in quotes, that no foreign terrorist organization has successfully planned and executed an attack on our homeland in these past 8 years.
Right.
Let me rephrase that one more time for the people who aren't paying attention. While speaking, he touted the fact that no terrorist organization has successfully planned and executed an attack on our homeland in the past 8 years, meaning while I'm president. As a native son of Boston, Mr. President, fuck you.
I might take just a bit of umbrage to that.
Because they were Chechens. They may live in America. That doesn't mean that they're Americans. One was, one wasn't. One went to Chechnya to get training, and we were warned from the FBI to check him on the way back, and they blew it. Orlando was ISIS-inspired. ISIS is from overseas. Fuck you.
San Bernardino,
ISIS-inspired. It doesn't have to be... Listen, Americans can commit foreign acts of terror in the sense that their allegiance falls to that foreign organization.
Major Nidal Hassan.
Nidal Hassan, in my opinion, was an inside attack, but it's also got foreign terrorist ties, and the planning was involved in overseas. So now you're saying, look at this guy in Washington a couple months ago at the mall, Cascade, Washington. Same thing.
Yes.
You start look the underwear bomber on the plane on Christmas 6 years ago, coming from Somalia, if I remember correctly. The bomb didn't go off, but that doesn't mean it was. The only reason that plot failed is because the device failed as they were coming into Detroit.
It's called a clue, Mr. Obama, when you hear someone say Allahu Akbar. That's called a clue. Well, here's BZ's axiom.
When they pledge to ISIS.
Yes.
When they pledge to ISIS, that is a foreign terror attack. You dipshit.
When you think here's BZ's axiom. When you think that it might be terror, the longer that it takes for any authority, government, police, etc., to name the suspect, the more certain you can be sure it's terrorism.
Yep. And I can tell you right now, Jersey Joe and I were talking the night of the Cascade incident. In New York. Even though nobody died, the New York terrorist inspired by ISIS. But as far as I'm concerned, that's foreign terrorism. I don't care if you're an American, if you're saying your allegiance is to ISIS.
Well, and many of those people went abroad.
Yes, to get their training.
Acquired their training and knowledge and brought it back with them.
So to go around at the military base and say there's been no foreign terror attacks on our soil in the past 8 years.
San Bernardino.
Is a bold-faced freaking lie.
Yeah.
Merced College. Well, University of Merced, California, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Same thing.
perfect example because the police and the sheriff there didn't name the suspect and waited a damn long time to do it. Guess what?
When was Boston?
While it was under Obama.
Oh.
Chechens.
Yeah.
It was foreign. Even though the younger brother was a citizen and the older brother was not, if I remember 100% right, the fact that he went overseas to get his training and plan his attack and come back is foreign terrorism.
Yeah.
He's being inspired. So the only way that you could have domestic terrorism based on what Mr. Obama is saying, the only way you could have domestic terrorism would be if it's like, say, I don't know, a white Christian organization who is trying to take out a totalitarian government. That's it based on what he's saying. That's the only thing I can surmise is that if a white guy does it to overthrow
how about
government,
ALF or ELF? Animal Liberation Front.
right?
or Earth
But that's
Liberation Front,
domestic.
Right? That's
right?
domestic. Yeah.
That's Americans on Americans. And
I've seen that video.
Right.
Jesse Joe in the chat room pointed out that Obama also said there weren't any scandals.
No scandals
in his
whatsoever.
administration. Not one.
Yeah.
Didn't we already talk about one earlier?
We've talked about 30 tonight. Yeah.
What a goober.
The only way, and Mamba is 100% right, Obama is just playing semantics. Unless there's someone flying over here from Raqqa wearing a war garb and pre-announcing their intentions, then maybe Obama might acknowledge it. These assholes can get trained online or in some Islamic center or mosque, etc., or they go overseas.
Or they get on the internet.
Yes.
And go look at Inspire magazine from Al-Qaeda
Yes.
or Dabiq from ISIS.
Yes.
Two online magazines that are meant literally to inspire you to kill people.
Right. So unless your inspiration is American-based, so to speak, he's not acknowledging it.
Well, he can't even say the damn word.
Which is ridiculous to me. And like I said, unless you're ALF or an ELF or some sort of right-wing militant group trying to overthrow the government in America, that's the only way
BAM
he would say,
or
domestic terrorism.
You know, I would have a stronger reaction if the left had actually engaged in revisionist history before. What? What?
I may know where you're going with this.
But this is revisionist history, right?
Yes.
Already starting. Because if he puts those words out there, what's going to be printed in certain history books?
Just
that's
that,
going to be
exactly.
Yes.
That soundbite will be printed.
Yep.
Not the history that goes with it.
Right.
And last, I know we get 10 minutes left.
I have one I want to talk about real quick. The Capitol Hill artwork.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
No, but
I have not.
You have not. So pull up real quick. Painting by high school senior David Pulphus. Pulphus. So
Can you spell that again?
Pulphus. First of David. And so here's what happens. Representative Lacey Clay, a Democrat out of Missouri, has an annual congressional art competition and chose this high school senior's art. The picture depicts two police officers whose heads are replaced with animal heads. One is of a pig.
Yep.
Pointing guns at other people who are holding up protest signs that says, like, racism kills.
Right. Stop killing.
Justice and a crucified
now.
Black man in a graduation cap holding the scales of justice. That masterpiece is adorning the halls of our United States Congress.
Oh, but it's free speech and it's beautiful and he's expressing himself and blah, 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 blah.
Well, black lives do matter.
Blah, 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 blah. And listen, I'm not saying this guy can't paint this. He can paint it all he wants. But as a congressman, all you're doing is feeding into the rhetoric that's already falsely portrayed throughout this country completely. It's an embarrassment. Absolute embarrassment. First of all, according to this video, only one group of people in this country are really repressed. If at all. Number 2, every cop is a pig, no matter what. Doesn't matter if that person's never done anything wrong or not. Number 3, cops only bring black people to jail, according to this, whatsoever. Let's see. Let me keep going. It says bring up history, history, in emphasis. To say tell a story, so to speak. And then there's a peace sign. Where was that peace sign during any of the looting and rioting that have popped out of these protests that we had seen over the last year?
Well, let us not forget about the assault that occurred live today on Facebook in Chicago. Chicago police said they'd arrested the suspect seen on a Facebook Live video attacking and taunting a duct-taped man while yelling racially charged obscenities.
Yes, that's where I wanted to go to with my...
One of the suspects was a school acquaintance of the victim, according to police. But you got to go to Daily Mail, UK Daily Mail, to find out this little gem. The suspects, who are black, and the victim, who is white, were said to be young adults over the age of 18. The victim is also mentally challenged.
Yes.
Way to go. Yay, team. Now, question.
Wait, it gets better. According to Fox News, on the video they can be heard yelling, F white people.
Right.
F Donald Trump.
Right.
Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson told reporters that 2 males and 2 females, including the woman that shot the video, were in custody and were supposed to be facing formal charges tomorrow morning. They're investigating whether it is a hate crime due to the race of...
I know because it's so questionable.
It's still up in the air. It's still up in the air.
I think Barney Fife could crack this case.
In one point during the video, the victim was held at knife point and told to curse President-elect Donald Trump. He was also made to drink water from a toilet.
You know what? That's a federal civil rights violation.
Huge federal civil rights violation. It makes you wonder why these individuals treat someone like that, according to Deputy Chief Johnson. I've been a cop for 28 years, and I've seen some things that you shouldn't see. It still amazes me how you see some things that you just shouldn't. I'm going to say it shocked me, but it was also sickening.
Cook County DA, where did they weigh in on this? I hear crickets. Loretta Lynch in D.C., where is she weighing in on this?
Why is it
Al Sharpton?
Al Sharpton. Barack Hussein Obama. All the poverty pimps and race pimps. Where are they weighing in?
And it kills me at how many of the false reported racially charged events after the Trump election that have all been disproved.
Yes. That poor little woman in New York City who was beaten up by those
at the college as well.
Evil Trump people.
Police officers saw the victim walking on the street wearing shorts Tuesday afternoon. When they stopped talking to the man, he appeared disorientated. He was taken to the hospital and given toxicology tests to see if he was drugged in any way, shape, or form. The victim was a classmate of one of the suspects and was held in the apartment for 24, possibly 48 hours. I hope the parents had made a report at some point, especially considering he was mentally disabled. I like this, though. Johnson said authorities currently don't believe the crime was politically motivated, despite the disparaging remarks about President-elect Trump.
I wonder if a white person had said the word nigger in an assault, whether or not that would have been considered a hate crime. They'd have to ponder that for weeks, I'm sure.
Or if a white person kidnapped an African American juvenile or person and made them say disparaging things about President Obama.
Yeah. And fuck Black Lives Matter on a Facebook Live post. I wonder if that would be a hate crime.
Reality is what it is. Just by the words we have been called on this show over the last years because we dared question the president.
Right.
Now, I know tonight I told him to fuck off.
Who, the president?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Because after you're going to say there's no terrorism attack, and after the Boston Marathon bombings, he can go fuck himself. Especially after he just got off of Air Force One from his last Hawaiian vacation before he gets out of office in 15 and a half days. Yeah, I'm done, dude. I'm done. I can't even stomach that. But everything we've said up until that point was not an emotional argument against what he was doing as president.
Right.
But we've still been called horrific things.
That was an emotional response to the man.
Yes.
Not to the president.
Right.
Based upon the ridiculousness.
Right.
I couldn't give a shite less about his melanin count. His philosophy
is what scares the hell out of me.
Worldview is reprehensible.
You know what? We don't even need to justify that, though, because Hillary Clinton's white, and we talk crap about that.
No, we both completely.
Harry Reid. But he's white, and we.
But you look at all these ads. Paul Ryan on our side of the aisle. Look at what we've gone after him for. What's his name? Turtle McConnell. Look at what we've gone after him for. Yeah. Hey, Chris Matthews.
Cuckoo McCain.
Chris Matthews. What we go after is the substance. What we go after is the ideology. We go after is the actions.
The facts.
But it is
statements.
Crazy to me that over the last 8 years, the things that we have been called.
Oh, yeah.
Because of our disagreement with the president's policies.
Mostly by Ken.
A lot of it's by Ken.
A lot of it is by Ken.
And it's mostly just me for some reason, which I don't even understand.
Because you're the blatant bigot.
Well, wait. Ken has not logged off yet, so you can only talk about him behind his back after he logs off.
Right. And that being said, folks, join SHR Media and put narcolepsy to bed. We have to stop this trend as quick as possible.
Yeah.
The sudden falling of asleep while you're in the middle of doing something in an upright position can be tragic, and more importantly, it can cause your internet radio to go on and on and on and on.
Oh, you mean why other shows are waiting to get in? I didn't say that.
I didn't say that either.
I just read the piece of paper that Clint just handed me.
And I got that from Shaun.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show for the 4th of January, 2017. Thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you check out all the great and new shows on the SHR Media Network starting next Tuesday, I believe.
Could be.
Berserk Bobcat Ballroom with the bloviating Zeppelin, because why make it easy on the rest of us? And all the other great shows that are on as well. Pick it up tomorrow morning with Pastor Shannon and Mike.
With this closing comment by Ken McClinton. Shaun's a racist.
Shaun's a racist. It's not the first time, won't be the last time. Folks, we will see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Have a great rest of your evening.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Talk dude. Talk dude.
Radio.
Talk dude. Talk dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.